Welcome to the Migrant Resource Centre, Northwest Region Incorporated Diversity and Disability YouTube channel. Your Life, Your Voice program, where self-advocates and professionals in the disability sector are interviewed.
The Diversity and Disability Project would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work and live and recognise their continued connection to land, water and community. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging.
Nothing about us without us. We pay respects to all self-advocates who have worked hard over the years and still working tirelessly for their rights, supporting others with disabilities and human rights for all.
This channel is for people with disabilities who aspire to seek self-advocacy role models to inspire change in their everyday lives. Nothing about us without us. Choice and control are central themes. Every interview is as unique as you and I.
And it has a fundamental universal human rights ethos of respect for persons with disabilities, having their views heard and acknowledged. After all, it's all in the name. Your life, your voice.
Be the voice of change in your life.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Your Life, Your Voice. My name is Julie and Antony. I'd like to welcome my co-host, Antony Raker. Welcome, Antony.
Hello, and hello everyone.
All the way from New Zealand today.
Yes, here in my home country at the moment, visiting family and friends. So, yeah, I'm enjoying being here.
Yeah, thanks for making time for the program. So anyway, how about we kick off? Today we thought like having a bit of a series about self-advocacy using the Voicestogether website. So how about we kick off with that, Antony? What do you think?
Sounds good.
Beautiful. So the tab I'm clicking is what is self-advocacy on the Voicestogether website.
Yep, and the website address for that is www.voicestogether.com.au.
Thanks, Anthony. So what is self-advocacy? Self-advocacy groups are run by people with disabilities who have joined together to support each other, to have their voices heard. We have the same rights, choices and opportunities as anyone else in their community. So self-advocacy groups are about. Antony, are you happy for me to read this out, or would you like to?
I could read that part.
Okay, sure.
Self-advocacy groups are about speaking up about our rights, having about our say about the services we want and need, working with government services in the community, learning new skills, networking with other groups.
Yeah, so I think it's important for people to understand the history of self-advocacy, because when I started in 2011, I had no idea about the history. So it's a world history. So quite often, we hear something called civil rights, and the one group of people who are usually deprived of civil rights are people that governments and institutions think they can get away with. So we have a vision there of civil action on self-advocacy. So it started in 1969 when members spoke up about how they wanted to be treated. 72 self-advocacy groups started in Britain. 1974, the United States. 1980, the first self-advocacy group was started in Australia. It's still going today. So we'll talk more about Reinforce later on in the program. Reinforce is primarily a group for intellectual disabilities. 1980, we had lots of protests about closing institutions, the right to equality, freedom from abuse, rights and sheltered workshops, and changing community attitudes. I interviewed Colin Hisco a few years ago now, who is heavily involved in these rallies, and still to today he's heavily involved with Reinforce. Anthony, would you like to pick it up from 1986 at all?
Yes. So the People's First Resource Unit was set up. 1990. Sadly, many of the groups lost the funding. The People's First Resource Centre closed its doors. 2008, the Victorian government funded the Self-Advocacy Resource Unit, SARU. There's a bit more in there, sorry.
Yeah, would you like me to take over?
Yeah, yes.
In 2018, there are now self-advocacy groups around the world. Britain, Canada, Poland, Germany, United States, Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia, Austria, Hong Kong, and many, many other countries. So why self-advocacy matters? So for people in the sector, there are forums held, I believe, once a year. And I was speaking at a forum in 2011, I believe, on trying to convince the government, high government officials, why self-advocacy matters, to basically keep on funding self-advocacy groups in Victoria. And I think that I was a part of many speakers in that conference, and that's when the NDIS was basically trying to figure out how to support people. And the NDIS is primarily focus is actually, if you look at it closely, it is person-centered, but and self-advocacy is a really critical point for the NDIS participants, because it's all about choice and control.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've already spoken about fight for equality, improve services, for them to do a better job, closing of institutions, which the closing of institutions happened in my lifetime in the 60s. And the people that my colleagues were a part of these institutions as well, they were, I don't know exactly what they call people institutions, because different institutions have different names. So like a prison is an institution. So in prison, they're called inmates. In a nursing home is an institution. In that institution, they're called residents. But quite honestly, they're pretty bad in the treatment of whatever you call them. They're pretty bad in how they're treated. So even till today, I hear stories about people in these institutions. Yes. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. Intellectual disability in link. Because so for a very long time, as people with intellectual disability, we did not feel like we had any rights and felt powerless. We were locked away in institutions and put into a group homes and not listened to. People with intellectual disabilities were often abused and bullied. In the 1970s, people with intellectual disabilities joined together to start the first self-advocacy group, and soon there were self-advocacy groups all over the world. Self-advocacy groups began to stand up and speak up about rights. We want to live in our own homes, to go to a good school, get a paid job, feel safe and be treated the same as everyone else. Self-advocacy gives a voice to be able to stand up to be heard by government, communities, and services. The voice is your voice. That voice is important because without it, how do you know what we need and want? Self-advocacy gives us the power to control our own destinies. Self-advocates make change happen and give people the power to stand up and be counted. There's a whole list of things, but basically we know in this program how important self-advocacy is amongst people with disabilities. So, Antony, I think I'll go back to the initial self-advocacy list that we had. Let's have a look.
Yeah, so I remember with growing up in New Zealand, there were institutions here, and I was quite young when I remember hearing that they closed down. So you know, it was a global movement really with you know, these institutions and how you know, badly they treated people in there and sort of, you know, dehumanizing. And yeah, I think, you know, when that happened, everybody was in support of that.
Yeah, so, you know, with SORU, there are lots of training type of things that people can do to help them get the skills that they need to like build up confidence. And there are a range of things that people can look at on just online. You may need to ask your support worker to help you out with this, or you may want to build up your skills on your internet skills.
Well, the Voicestogether site has a wonderful tool that can help you find self-advocacy groups in your state or area. So that's a great resource there.
Yes, so I'll just go back to the slide. I'll just do I'll just do a share with that. Okay, so it's really, the Voicestogether website is really quite complex, but once you get into it, if you spend an hour a day, like, you know, having a look at it and like Antony said, maybe looking for groups that you may be interested in, it might be a good idea. See that, as you see from my sharing at the moment, we have about self-advocacy. I'll just share a find a self-advocacy group. So on the screen at the moment, we have find a self-advocacy group, and as you can see, it's all around Australia, including Tasmania. people sometimes forget about Tasmania. So what you do, let's see, how about we click on Victoria and see what happens. Victoria. Okay, in Victoria, we have lots of groups. We have All Abilities group. I think All Abilities, by memory, is regional. Bendigo have a SAY group. I've interviewed some people from these groups on the channel. Brain Injury Matters, which is a very important lobby group for people with an ABI. An ABI can happen, acquired. The A stands for acquired. So it's, some people get it through disease. A lot of people get it through misadventure and accidents. Deaf Blind Victoria. There are my, again, in the vision. Diversity and Disability. New Horizons. New Wave. So as you can see, Gippsland, as you can see, the groups are all over Australia, Victoria and Australia. So one really good one is Positive Powerful Parents. And they've done a lot of work in the space to educate child protection on what they need to be good parents. Because unfortunately, people with intellectual disabilities and all sorts of disabilities are discriminated against in hospitals, and so Powerful Positive Parents were funded to create resources on how to educate government departments. I think it's really unfair because we all need support, you know, in our lives, and to single out people with disabilities as being potentially bad parents is really unfair, because able-bodied people aren't questioned the same way as people with disabilities. They do really great work in this space. So if you're a parent with a disability and you need support to maybe navigate your way around, they've had so many name changes. I forget the current one, but it was DHHS. I believe they've had a name change. So they've amalgamated government departments. But call up Positive Parents, Positive Health Parents, and they will support you on how to navigate your way around the system and get access to your children if they have been taken away from you. What are your thoughts about this, Antony?
Yeah, I think it's a great resource for information and support. Would you like me to just sort of quickly touch on like the toolkits and resources and how-to section?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to bring it up?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So I've actually only recently gone through this website, and I'm actually quite amazed at the wealth of information that's on here. So there's a section that has toolkits and resources and how-tos. So, and that would cover, has section with how-to sheets, which consists of how to deal with bullying, how to deal with conflict in meetings, how to get new members, how to get started on Facebook, how to get your health rights. I probably won't go through all of them, but there's so many, and how to network, how to run good meetings, how and it's got toolkits, becoming a good
Do
leader.
you want me to go on toolkits? I'm on toolkits at the moment.
Yep.
So running good groups, good meetings, meeting with politicians, public speaking, you're right, and lots more. What I want to encourage people is that skills development, like it doesn't matter. I mean, I know lots of people who are now in the self-advocacy space who are really terrified of these topics, but you can start at your own pace and you'll be very surprised with support that you get from Saru and your colleagues, how much you do pick up, because it's basically an adult learning environment. And there are no like, formal learning criteria that are imposed, but trust me, the training that you receive will hold you in good stead and will help you go on to things, or maybe you don't want to go on things, maybe you just want to be a listener and just people take time in their own time, and that's fine too. So there are lots of videos that you can access that shows growth in people. They talk about their growth. Yes, so speak up. Speak up tab, which I've just clicked on now, Anthony. So speaking up, getting your voices heard, have a go at public speaking, lobbying politicians. I did this training with Voice at Table, lobbying a politician. It's basically, if you bumped into a politician, you had like the lift ride, maybe 2 minutes to like, how would you pitch? How would you pitch for funding? And so first impressions are always good, and you get lots of there's lots of training and lots of ways to. They also invite a real politician. And the politicians have said how much they've got out of seeing people practice to lobby a politician, and so you get that experience. And I mean, quite frankly, we're all people, we're all human, we all want the same things. So as my colleagues have said, when you have a disability, we don't grow horns. We are people with the same needs and wants as everyone else. The next thing we have to show is the work our colleagues have done in the health space. And self-advocates do a lot of work with government organisations and to educate government on better policy development for people with disabilities. And this in turn assists the rest of the community. So just on that, how about we go to the video? The video is about healthcare conversations, and it's with the Victorian Public Advocate.
My name is Colleen Pearce and I am the Victorian Public Advocate. This video is part of my work safeguarding the rights and interests of Victorians with a disability. It has been funded by the Australian Department of Social Services and is designed to improve the way healthcare practitioners communicate with patients with a disability. Everyone has the right to play an active role in making decisions about their own health and the support they need to do so, and this includes support from healthcare practitioners. People with a disability have helped design the content of this video, as has the Director of Centre for Developmental Disability, Health Victoria, Dr. Jane Tracy. The Centre's mission is to improve the health and healthcare of people with developmental disabilities through building and supporting the capacity of mainstream health services. I hope you find the insights in this video informative and helpful in your work with Victorians with disability.
Generally, I feel okay. My GP knows exactly what she's doing.
I feel quite confident.
I get really nervous.
Usually I enjoy doctor's clinics because it's an opportunity to just talk.
I felt okay on Zoom, but my next appointment, that's going to be face to face.
I love to talk. That's
You never shut up.
I don't know that person from a bar of soap, and they don't know me from a bar of soap.
I feel I can just say my truth.
I think I'm getting really scared about it.
I often worry about whether I am going to get the standard quality of care that other patients get because I have a reading ability.
If I know the practitioner, I'm not worried because I know they're good. But if I have to go to somebody new, it's whoa.
I can't stand when the doctor directs questions to my care.
That is so frustrating and demeaning.
Has this been going on for a very long time with, for Colin? I don't know. Why don't you talk to him and ask him?
Doctors may speak down to us. They presume because of what they've seen on your medical file and the labels you probably have on them.
I've seen people treat disability as if you're a little child.
I'll tell them that I go to work and they'll be like, really? You're amazing. Well done. I'm like, come on, guys. Seriously? Yeah, because I have a disability. Does not mean to say I'm going to spend the rest of my life sitting around doing absolutely nothing at all.
When they talk really fast, like they're really in a hurry.
They don't speak my lingo. They only speak too high.
So they either treat you like you are a pharmacist and you know exactly what they're talking about, or they treat you like a dummy.
Always seem confident. Speaking directly to me, not the person I'm with.
Understand that it's true we're disabled, but we have a bit of intelligence enough to understand a few.
What do you mean a bit of intelligence? I've got more than that.
Some of us have more.
Maybe assess the person rather than just read the medical issues.
Treating you like an adult and not breaking down words like this so they think you understand them.
Not using big medical terminology, giving me as much information as possible to be able to make decisions about my own health.
I would say that doctors need to be educated in the sense of disability rights and understanding that, we're human too.
It's about taking help professionals about the importance of developing rapport with patients with disability.
Why? Why can't I be given the chance and the opportunity the same as anyone else in this community, whether they're disability or not?
Just look at us in the eyes and put yourselves in our experiences.
We're all different. We've all got different issues. So just treat us all with a bit of respect. Can't go wrong.
The care of people with disabilities is the same as the general population. We need to provide people with the same high quality health care, the same opportunities to access health care, and expect the same outcomes of our health care. Communicating well with any patient is very important. It's a foundation of healthcare, having a good rapport, good relationship, good communication with people. Sometimes doctors who haven't had much experience in working with people with disability can feel a bit uncertain about how to communicate with this person and be a bit scared of making a mistake. So we need to reduce those barriers and to be more effective in understanding the needs of people with disability in those services. It's important to review the records of somebody with a disability before they come into the room, so you're up to date with what their medical history is and what you need to focus on that in that consultation. It's important not to make assumptions about cognitive capacity based on communication ability. Somebody with cerebral palsy may have no difficulty understanding us at all, but may have difficulty in expressing themselves. That's quite different from somebody with a severe intellectual disability who may have a lot of trouble understanding what we're saying, and so we need to modify our communication to suit our patient. Sometimes people will come to a consultation with a support person, and then it's really important for me to understand the role of that support person. Is that person there just for practical assistance to perhaps drive them to the appointment, or does that person have a role to support the history taking that I'm going to be involved with? I'll always, of course, talk to the patient first. That's the person who's come to see me. That's my patient. That's who I have my professional relationship with. When they first come into the room, if they are a bit nervous or if I haven't seen them for a while, I'll often try and see something that we can talk about, just small talk, to break down that anxiety a little bit. We're wanting to avoid jargon. We're wanting to use simple language, but not at all childlike if we're talking to an adult. And we're wanting to ask one question at a time and give people adequate time to answer that question before we move on to the next thought. Then when it comes to the examination, if somebody is nervous, you might want to start with them just sitting in the chair and just do something simple like take their pulse, take their blood pressure, things that people are going to expect you to do as the doctor. Even if they've come in for a sore leg, you can do those things because it's what's expected of you, and it can help people feel a bit safer. People with disabilities, just like anybody else, want to have choice and control in their lives, and so in decisions around any kind of procedures that we might recommend as doctors, we need to be clear that they are the ones with the choice, and we need to offer the choices of what is available, why we're recommending what we are, and the implications of following that through or of not following that through. If somebody does not have the capacity to make their own medical decisions, then we need to still work closely with that person, but involve another person who may have that role of medical treatment decision maker. And together, the three of us would work out what are the choices that person would make if they were able to make a decision themselves, and then make that decision together. So the person should always be involved to the maximum extent possible in making decisions that affect their own lives. It's really important that the doctor and that practice takes responsibility for following up with the person and ensuring that they get the results. And if they don't come to their appointment, we need, once again, to follow it up with a phone call. Why didn't that person come, and could we ask them to come back? Much easier to talk about the results of tests in person, and it's much better for us as doctors because we can better assess whether you're understanding what I'm saying in terms of the results and what might need to happen next. The care of people with disability is just like the general population. It's people want to be valued, to be respected, to have their rights upheld, but we do need to focus on the communication to enable that to happen. So the communication enables the good healthcare, and the good healthcare enables good health, and good health enables a good life.
So Anthony, what do you think of the video?
Yeah, I think, I've been through a lot of those sort of situations with doctors, and even, going into places for appointments like Centrelink, where, I've gone in with a family member or a friend, and, the person's spoken to them and not to me, like I wasn't there kind of thing. And, I understand exactly what that person was talking about when she was saying that, it can be very frustrating and demeaning to, not be spoken to directly. And I think that, yeah, there definitely is, a lot of training that can be done around that. With doctors, and understanding disability, and understanding how to communicate with a person with a disability, because there is many different disabilities, and I do understand that it can be difficult to understand each of the needs for different people. But I guess communication is key. Like just ask the person what their needs may be around what sort of access needs they need, whether or not they may need to talk slower, or I think the first step would be just to ask the person what their needs are. And as the person with the disability, this is where the self-advocacy can come into play, and to be able to communicate what your needs are, and just express that to the doctor or whoever it may be.
Well,
what was your thoughts?
Well, just today on the media, they had a segment on gaslighting by the medical profession. And gaslighting is sort of like trying to convince someone that they're wrong, or they're mistaken, or something hasn't happened or did not happen. It's actually psychological abuse, and it's used by people in quite horrible ways. And look, for media to be highlighting it in very, very clearly, it must be a bigger issue than disability, because when people are sick, they have problems expressing themselves. And this actually happened to me when I was taken to emergency, and first I went to my GP for a few weeks, and nothing was done, and I had to bring in a health advocate for the doctor to basically refer me to an emergency department. Now, it was that serious, I actually could have lost my life, and I quite nearly lost my life. So this is a bigger issue than disability. It affects the whole community. And yes, we know that GPs are under strain. underpaid, and all those sort of issues, which is well and good, but people still need proper care and they need to be believed. The question is, why should someone need to bring in an advocate just to be heard? It was very, very disempowering for me, but I took the right action at that time because a few days later, I was actually critically ill in hospital. So yes, with that final notes, do you have any other comments, Anthony?
Yes, well, I think it's been a great episode where looking through the Voices Together website and seeing the huge amount of information that it covers, and if anyone out there needs all that type of information, it's all there. And I guess as always, if anyone has any comments or any suggestions for upcoming episodes, please comment in the comment section and press the like button, because that helps this channel grow and helps others find it as well, and subscribe.
Thank you, Anthony. And on that note, we'll end the program. Thank you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Catch us on Your Life, Your Voice YouTube channel live every Monday fortnight or on demand.
We would like your comments and suggestions on topics that you would like us to explore. Leave your comments on YouTube comments section.
Please feel free to email us on dndyourlifeyourvoice@gmail.com or contact us via the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Inc. Phone number 1300 676 044. 1300 676 044.
Diversity in Disability is a project of the Migrant Resource Centre Northwest Region Incorporated, and would like to thank the management for funding this project, especially living through the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has been difficult for people with disabilities living in isolation.